discussed possible musicals to produce for the Racine Unified School District this summer, it was a short conversation.
She asked me and said, well, what about Les Mis? And I said, absolutely. And she said, great, and we were done. That's all that it took. We both had just seen the movie, and we had been wanting to do it for a number of years, just unsure if we had the talent. And this year, we both knew she definitely had the talent in her groups to pull this off.
But producing Les Miserables, now officially the world's longest-running musical, would not be without its share of challenges, especially at the high school level. First, it's a sung-through musical, nearly 3 hours of non-stop music and singing, no dialogue, a tall order for high school singers and musicians. Second, the music, on a scale of 1 to 10, says one cast member is a 24. And finally, you would need nearly 100 people, 58 performers, 19 musicians, and a dozen crew to pull it off. Oh yeah, smack dab in the middle of summer vacation, with less than 6 weeks of rehearsals.
This was the right year and the right time.
Voices are remarkable. Solid soloists and an even stronger ensemble sound make one forget that this is a high school production. Combine this top-shelf vocal talent with the entirely convincing acting skills of these young performers, and you've got the makings of a summer hit, if only for a weekend. This weekend.
It makes me so proud that everybody's worked so hard and not one person has given up, and we're not missing any lines or anything. There's, mistakes here and there, but it's not big and it's not noticeable at all, just for us. And that's amazing. Everybody this is what they go home and they practice and they get it down. Whatever Miss Seggy's notes are, they do it and they make it better, and that's what makes us the musical we have. Because everybody's devotion and dedication, even the little ones. And without them, we wouldn't have the show either, Everybody just works so hard, and it makes it worth it.
Les Mis marks the 8th collaborative effort for Sneaking and Cruz. They are joined this year by Joshua Sherman from Gilmore Middle School, who directs the 19-piece orchestra, and Danielle Dickert from McKinley, who designed and supervised the building of the set. Show of this magnitude takes not only incredible talent and energy, but discipline as well.
If you go and do a musical that Miss Seggy directs, you should just already know that you need to be serious about what you're doing, or if you're not serious, she'll be able to tell and you won't be in it, honestly.
I think it starts in our classrooms. Liz is very on the ball, disciplined. I learned from her. I'm actually her past student, so I have the same mindset, and then we combine in the summer, and everyone is on the same page right away for the discipline, so the expectation is set during the year, I think, and then as the summer rolls on, as we've done them for 8 summers, that expectation is there, so people know. I think students know when you go into it, this is what's happening and this is what has to be done, and as we get new students in, they know as well. They learn from the older ones.
Set in early 19th century France, Les Mis is the story of Jean Valjean, prisoner 24601, played by Jake Glidden. Valjean, a burly French peasant of abnormal strength with a potentially violent nature, is on his quest for redemption after serving 19 years in jail for stealing a loaf of bread, then trying to escape a number of times. It's a tough role, to be sure, but Glidden was up for the challenge.
I've never done a musical on this kind of scale, I don't think. The summer musicals I've done were Beauty and the Beast and West Side Story, I know this one. And, Beauty and the Beast was really big and overwhelming, but it just wasn't like this. It wasn't like Les Mis, and Les Mis is more of a... It's a much bigger thing, I think. So I've never been on something quite like this, and I've never had a lead in something quite like this. I played Phantom and Phantom of the Opera, but that was Case. That was just us. It wasn't as gigantic and organized as this is. I think this is quite rewarding. We need to experience true, classics in order to develop our acting careers. So I think it's really good to do something bold like this, and I think people really underestimate what we can do if we work as a team and we're really focused.
Letting go free was the tower at last with the seal on my face. Oh, I got the past was the clean of the slate. All it would take was a flick of his knife. Vengeance was his and he gave me back my life.
Valjean decides to break his parole and turn his life around, proving that the corrupt can become virtuous and selfless once more. But he is relentlessly pursued by a police inspector named Javert, played by Union Grove's Dylan Sauter, who firmly believes that humans cannot change for the better. But Javert learns a lesson or two himself.
He is very strong, especially in the first act. He's got it all under control. And then as he starts seeing kindness and seeing that Jean Valjean isn't really the desperate criminal he's thought he was for so many years, it doesn't necessarily make him a more loving person. It just confuses him. It kind of breaks him because it goes against everything that he's stood for, everything he's fought for his entire life. So I guess his strength diminishes. He doesn't necessarily become more emotional or like more compassionate or anything like that, but he's very confused about his feelings. He doesn't quite make it to the point of being weak. He just feels as though he's losing control. He just can't imagine how someone so evil in his mind could do something so good as give him his life back. So I guess he does learn a little bit about compassion, but I think more for him, letting Jean Valjean go later is just paying him back, and still he feels like that's not enough.
I have only no one other who can do what you have done. He's a convict from the chain and he's been 10 years on the run, but he couldn't run forever. We have found his hideaway and he's just been rearrested and he comes to court today. Well, of course he now denies it, expect that tough come, but he couldn't run forever, no, not even Jean Valjean. Master of the house, keeper of the zoo, ready to lead them on the zoo, water the wine, making up the winds, then knick-knacks will they can't stay straight. Everybody loves the landlord, everybody's bosom friend. I do whatever please, and Jesus won't believe him in the end.
The role of Thénardier, a second-rate thief, is played with a first-rate sense of timing and a contagious enthusiasm by Jared Simonson. He and Natalie Bernier, as his unscrupulous wife, light up the stage as married innkeepers put in charge of Cosette's care, though frankly they're doing it just for the money and not providing that much care. Simonson's tireless energy makes him the perfect choice for this comic role, as does his natural ability to simply entertain. And all this from a young man whose own mother once told him he couldn't sing.
I went to McKinley at first, and I started the first year that Mr. Cruz was at McKinley, and he was the person who literally taught me to sing. Up until then, my mother always told me, "You can't sing, you're tone deaf." And I pretty much was. You couldn't hear anything from anything before 8th grade. I was terrible, but then Mr. Cruz said, "You have a beautiful voice. Come be the section leader of my swing choir. I will train you." And since then, I was in swing choir my 8th grade year, and then joined choir right away at Case High School. I was in 3 choirs last year. I'll only be in 2 this year. But it just is amazing, and I got my start with Mrs. Steggy and Mr. Cruz. They were who bred me to be the actor, performer, singer that I am.
Bernier is likewise captivating as Madame Thénardier, cutting through the sometimes dark tone of the musical and making audiences smile.
I do have a fairly effervescent personality, but I've just always loved being on the stage. From when I was little, I like to be in front of people. I like to do what I can to be seen. I don't want to go unnoticed. But I feel like there's so many other people in the cast who do the same, and we all just make sure that we have as much energy as we can.
Well into Valjean's quest for redemption, he and a slew of characters are swept into a revolutionary period in France, where a group of young idealists, led by Enjolras, played by Jason Martin, make their last stand at a street barricade. One of Joel Ross's close friends is Marius, played by Ryan Anderson, another student revolutionary in love with the now-grown Cosette.
Our show has some of the best singers our age that I've ever heard. I knew a lot of them from the past, but more of them this year than I've ever heard. Oh man, there's so many new ones, so many people always wanting to come back to this, and then so many people learning about it and wanting to join it. It's incredible.
The roles of Eponine, the pampered daughter of the Thénardiers, and Cosette, the daughter of Fantine, are played by Tabitha Stiggy and Valerie Wilk, respectively. Their powerful voices and captivating on-stage presence strengthen even further the foundation of this cast. Les Mis runs through Sunday at the Case High School Theater.